Hello, everybody. Good evening. I hope all of you are doing well. A warm welcome to another episode of D.E.A.R. Drop Everything and Read. I am Karishma, your verbal ability coach at Unacademy. There are a few announcements that I would like to do as an Unacademy Plus educator. These are some of our toppers from last year, and you can take a look at them. If you are preparing right now for CAT 2021, this is an ideal time to start, and who knows, we will have your picture here next year. In case you wish to connect with me or attend my classes, I'm taking classes on Unacademy Plus. I'll show you the subscription plans that are available, and this is the discount code that you could apply to avail yourself a discount. This is the Instagram endeavor that I have opened recently to help people, get better at grammar and vocabulary and of course reading. So you may follow it if you are using Instagram. This is my Telegram channel where all the details and links to the classes, etc. are uploaded. There are various batches. Like you see, there are a lot of batches happening in February, all of them brand new. And the reason is very simple, that this is the best time to start. In fact, students have been preparing since November, but if you are later than this, then you might have trouble, covering everything in a very short span of time. So this is like an ideal time to start. So in case you're a 2021 aspirant, please start ASAP. Unacademy Champions League is happening on Sunday, 14th of February. The timings are 5 to 5:40 p.m. There are a lot of awards and vouchers available. Please enroll for the same on the Unacademy app and website. In case you need to unlock a free class, combat, or you want to avail a discount, my code is Karishma. These are the subscription plans that Unacademy is providing for 2021. Like you can see, a 12-month plan is really ideal and the fees is quite affordable. They also have an EMI plan. So in case you wish to start your preparation, please take a subscription. Let's quickly start with today's beautiful article. The article is from one of my favorite genres, which students usually hate, and that is philosophy. Let's read this beautiful article. Dust is everywhere. We contribute towards multiplication through our polluting industries by wearing clothes and using things around us, and in the course of merely living, shedding skin cells, hair, and other byproducts of our life. मिट्टी हर जगह है, राइट? और हम ये मिट्टी मल्टीप्लाई करते हैं सिर्फ इसलिए नहीं क्योंकि हम इंडस्ट्रीज से पोल्यूशन क्रिएट करते हैं, या हम कपड़े पहनते हैं जो कि बनाने में एनवायरनमेंट का नुकसान होता है, या फिर चीज़ें यूज़ कर कर जो हमारे आसपास अवेलेबल हैं. वी ऑल्सो शेड स्किन सेल्स. सो द ह्यूमन स्किन शेड्स itself in every 14 days or 28 days we get new skin. So our skin cells keep getting shed and we don't even realize it. Our hair fall all the time, all right. And of course there are various waste products and byproducts that humans are producing. So basically everything is amounting to dust. But we are also it. मतलब हम भी मिट्टी ही हैं. Both the Bible and William Shakespeare would have us believe as much. There are two examples that the author gives. बाइबल भी यही कहती है और शेक्सपियर भी यही कहता है. कहाँ? तो बाइबल में एडम एंड ईव आर टोल्ड इन जेनेसिस. जेनेसिस इज द ओरिजिन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड एपिसोड इन द बाइबल, राइट? दिस सेज कि बाइबल में भी लिखा हुआ है डस्ट दाउ आर्ट एंड अनटू डस्ट शैल्ट दाउ रिटर्न. सो नाउ डस्ट दाउ आर्ट, दाउ मीन्स यू, all right, in old English. Art means are in old English. Unto dust shalt thou return. Shalt is another way of writing shall in old English again. So basically this is saying that you are made of dust and you will return to dust one day. Hamlet in his nihilistic soliloquy. Nihilistic is something that I will teach you probably in a philosophy class. This requires some amount of time. But in short, nihilism is a concept that disregards any goals and passions that you might have. Nihilism simply wants to remember that we're all going to die one day, all right? Soliloquy is talking to oneself. Solo plus lock, talking to oneself, self-talk, right? Asks rhetorically. Rhetorically is, it's not asking you a question. Rhetoric questions are questions that are not looking for answers. They are rather answers written in the form of questions. तो वो बोलता है कि what is the quintessence of this dust? Quintessence is essence, सार. इसका मूल्य क्या है, इसका क्या महत्व है? What is the value or the importance of dust? Science, of course, has provided some factual basis for this notion in indicating that the most fundamental material of life on Earth originated in the dust of long dead stars. This planet that we are living on right now, which we take for granted all the time, is nothing but it arose from stardust. So even science, and not just Bible and Shakespeare, are hinting towards the fact that we all come from dust. In any case, be it prophetic, whether you are listening to a prophet or a messenger, poetic, whether you are listening to a poet, or you listen to science, the message is clear. What is the message? We are in a continual flux. Flux is a flow of growth and decay. So we are growing, but we are also decaying. So we are living with every breath, but with every breath, we are also dying a little. Our lifespan gets reduced with every breath. Isn't it fascinating? But the latter will win. The latter means decay. So when there are two things and we say former, we are referring to the first one. When we say latter, we are referring to the second one. And each human body's end state will be the same. So after the game is over, the pawn and the king, they end up in the same chess box. So it's going to be the same for everybody. A collection of mere particles, that too dispersed. So after we die, whatever method you adopt of getting rid of the dead body, I have uploaded an interesting post on Instagram about this. How can you get rid of the dead body across various cultures in the world? The end is the same. We are nothing but particles, and even those particles don't stay at one place, they get dispersed. So what is the relation between the dust outside and the dust that we are? तो मैं भी मिट्टी हूँ और मेरे आसपास भी मिट्टी है, तो दोनों में फ़र्क क्या है? So quite a deep question right there. Most of us lack the courage to examine ourselves with biblical or Shakespearean frankness. So biblical is coming from the Bible and Shakespearean is coming from Shakespeare obviously. तो हम इस frankness के साथ, इस openness के साथ कभी भी analyze नहीं करते कि actually में हम हैं क्या, हम मिट्टी हैं. We fail to understand that. As we clash with external dust, we displace existential anxieties and confront our mortal, rootless, restless selves, although no longer discernible as such. Discernible is something that you can discern or decide. हम समझ ही नहीं पाते, we fail. हम हमेशा clash करते हैं external dust से. तो हम, if I'm dusting a furniture in my house, then obviously I'm cleaning it and I'm clashing with it and I'm displacing my anxiety, existential anxiety that I have about my existence, about my life, about the fact that I will die and I don't know when is my last breath. And I don't want to confront that how mortal I am, that I will die, that I'm rootless because I will be uprooted and nobody will remember that I ever existed. And this makes me restless and just cannot be discerned as such. It cannot be decided. Let me give you an example of this strange displacement. Since household dust is comprised a large part of the material traces of our bodily existence, घर में सामान पर जो मिट्टी जमी है वो कहाँ से आती है? हमसे आती है, हमारे काम से आती है, हमारे स्किन सेल से, हमारे बालों से, हमारी फैलाई हुई गंदगी से. द एंडेवर टू एलिमिनेट इट स्ट्राइव्स. जब आप उस गंदगी को साफ करने की कोशिश करते हैं, जो एंडेवर इज कोशिश, व्हेन यू एलिमिनेट इट quite unconsciously, बिना सोचे समझे, unconsciously, you expunge vestiges of ourselves. Beautifully written line. Expunge is completely remove, to obliterate, to annihilate, destroy. Vestiges is बचा हुआ portion. जब आप अपने घर का फर्नीचर साफ करते हैं, आप अनकॉन्शियसली अपने ही रेमिनेंट्स, अपने ही रीमेन्स को साफ कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि ये जो मिट्टी आई है ये आप ही से आई है. क्लॉथ इन हैंड, हाथ में कपड़ा लिए, वी इरेज प्रूफ्स ऑफ आर मॉर्टैलिटी. और हम आसपास की मिट्टी साफ करते हुए ऐसा सोचते हैं जैसे हम अपने मॉर्टैलिटी का प्रूफ भी मिटा रहे हैं, क्योंकि ये मिट्टी इस बात का सबूत है कि हम एक दिन मिट जाएंगे. तो हमको ऐसा लगता है विद दैट क्लॉथ इन आवर हैंड आई विल बी एबल टू डिलीट द फैक्ट दैट आई एम अ मॉर्टल बीइंग. And of our posthumous blending. Posthumous is happening after death. What happens to us after death? Blending with the environment. We become the elements that we come from. We become the dust that we arose from. With the penchant. Penchant is a French word which means a liking. It is pronounced as penchant. We write it as penchant. For putting the house in order, desiring to bring it back to a pristine condition. Pristine is unspoilt, absolutely clean. So why do we do dusting of our house? We dust the furniture because we want to put the house in order. We want it neat. We want it unspoiled. Dusting all the places where we sojourn a little sterile, a tad dead, all in the name of life. So what do we do when we do this? When we are cleaning our house and making it dustless, we sojourn. Sojourn is like a temporary stay. हम क्या करते हैं? सब कुछ स्टेराइल करने की कोशिश करते हैं, लेकिन वो स्टेराइल करने के एंडेवर में, while I'm trying to make everything absolutely clean, I make it a little dead. Tad means a little. I make it a little dead because life is dust. right? If you remove dust, you're also removing traces of life. So you become a little dead. In a way, this activity symbolizes our inability or our unwillingness to deal in a constructive manner with our lives, to accept their entanglement with finitude. जब हम ये करते हैं और हम unwilling है, when we are unwilling, we don't want to deal with this constructively, then we are also getting rid of the fact that we don't want to get entangled, ulajna, getting involved with finitude. Finitude means being finite, being mortal, being resting for a small time, for a finite time. Death and the others archived in the dust. So many people have walked this earth and they all are dust today. The moment we start ignoring these things, we ignore everything. We ignore the people who are now dust. We ignore that we are going to meet death very soon, and we ignore the fact that we are finite. My encounter with dust is a face-to-face, indeed surface-to-surface meeting with myself, with parts of me that, though already dead, lead on uncanny afterlife in combination with other fragmentary and whole entities, be they threads of fabric or dust mites. Again, extremely well written. My encounter with dust, मैं जब मिट्टी साफ करता हूँ, this is a face to face or surface to surface, because I am also dust and what I am cleaning is also dust. Then when I am cleaning this, I am meeting myself. Mitti is meeting mitti is what he is saying, with parts of me that are dead. So if my skin cells are lying on the table when I am cleaning the table, then I am meeting myself, that part of myself which is dead. And this is an uncanny afterlife. So this is the afterlife, no? So my skin cells are lying here. Uncanny is strange. So this is the afterlife. This is the what has happened to them after death. Where are they? They are maybe in the threads of fabric, or maybe they are in the form of dust mites. The very possibility of our mingling harkens back. Harkens back is like when you recall things again, to the shared source of finite existence against which the act of dusting rebels. So, this possibility that we are the same, this dust and the dust on the table is the same, is it helps us recall that we have a finite existence. It helps us get back to our source. And the act of dusting rebels against it. आप बाहर की मिट्टी साफ कर सकते हैं, लेकिन ये मिट्टी भी एक दिन साफ होगी. So that's a rebellious act. There is no depth in the encounter, save for the reciprocal mirroring effect of two surfaces, the dusting duster and the dusted dust. I just can't stop marveling at the beauty of the author's words. He says कि इस encounter की तो कोई सीमा ही नहीं है. Mirror effect है दो surfaces का. डस्टिंग डस्टर यानी मिट्टी से बना हुआ मिट्टी साफ करने वाला, और डस्टेड डस्ट और वो मिट्टी जिसे डस्ट किया जा रहा है. इन मोस्ट केसेस नॉनदलेस द मिरर इज ब्रोकन. हम देख ही नहीं पाते कि जो साफ करने वाला है और वो जिस मिट्टी को साफ कर रहा है, एक्चुअली साफ करने वाला भी मिट्टी ही है. द फॉर्मर डज नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज हर और हिमसेल्फ इन द लैटर, विच मीन्स द डस्टर डज नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज द डस्ट as one of its own parts. A tremendous psychic investment is necessary to inhibit the flashes of this traumatic recognition and perversely to identify vitality with shining, dust-free, lifeless exteriors. तो कहता है कि ये सोचने के लिए you have to invest a lot of psychic, a lot of time, a lot of psychology is invested, and then you can inhibit. Inhibit is like controlling, stopping the flashes of this traumatic recognition. So there are flashes in our life when we recognize that, oh, I might end, one day I won't be here. And then identify vitality. Vitality is energy. If you do that, then you will see that there is energy in dust. And if you make everything dust free and shining, then it also becomes lifeless. In the dust outside me does not send me back to myself. मेरे बाहर की मिट्टी अगर मुझे मेरे अंदर की मिट्टी से ना मिलवाए, to the dust that I am, जो मैं खुद हूँ, then the drudgery of wiping away the traces of past life will be strictly external. Then the art of dusting the furniture of my house is only an external task that everybody does every day just to keep their homes clean. Drudgery is menial jobs that you keep doing, household chores, cleaning, washing the dishes, doing the laundry. These are all considered as drudgery. You keep repeating them and they never end. I will not be guided by the question of how to dust within myself to bring my mind to a spotless state of wonder. So if I'm not doing introspection, if I'm not worried about how I will die one day, then I will never be raising the question of how to dust within myself. अपने अंदर की सफाई कैसे करनी है और अपना मन कैसे साफ करना है. Spotless state of wonder about the world while taking care not to sterilize either the mind or the world. So because the thoughts are also dust and the mind and the existence is also dust, if I don't introspect, I am not removing one dust from the surface of the other. Along similar lines, Thoreau writes in Walden, I had 3 pieces of limestone on my desk, but I was terrified to find that they required to be dusted daily. When the furniture of my mind was undusted still, how then could I have a furnished house? I would rather sit in the open air, for no dust gathers on the grass unless where man has broken ground. I can't stop falling in love with these words. This says, Thoreau का example दिया that when he was cleaning the limestone on his table, he thought that okay, I keep cleaning this, but when will I clean here? I need a vacuum cleaner here also sometimes. And I cannot have a furnished house if there is no cleaning here, because I am also staying in this house. Then what should I do? I will rather sit on open air. I want to leave this house and I will sit on the grass, because on grass there is no dust. Because grass is God created. धूल कहाँ जमा होती है? वहाँ जहाँ इंसान ज़मीन तोड़ता है, which means where you start belonging to the physical world. As long as you see yourself as a spirit or a soul, there is nothing but dust. A psychoanalyst might say that we avoid precisely this sort of hard self-analysis. हम ये avoid करते हैं इस तरह की बातें, हम philosophy avoid करते हैं, हमें तकलीफ होती है डेथ के बारे में बात करने से. When we earnestly dust our houses, और इसी कोशिश में हम बहुत कीन तरीके से, बहुत जोश के साथ अपने हाउस की सफाई करते हैं, without giving any thought to our psychic dwellings, और सोचते ही नहीं जो हमें सोचना चाहिए. Dwelling actually is living. Psychic dwelling is the thoughts that stay in your mind. The tremendous difficulty of what following Thoreau we might call dusting the furniture of our mind far exceeds that of passing a cloth over an actual filing cabinet. तो आपने एक कैबिनेट साफ कर लिया, उसमें और इसमें बहुत फ़र्क है. So when you clean a cabinet, it's very easy. When you want to clean the mind, it will require more effort. Inner dusting entails a constant interrogation. लगातार खुद से सवाल करना पड़ेगा of the supposition we either hold dear, उन चीज़ों का जो हम अपने बहुत नज़दीक समझते हैं जिनको, या फिर वो चीज़ें जो हम for granted लेते हैं. We fail to notice because they are obvious. It draws its inspiration from the Greek order, know thyself. Without revisiting, exposing, and oftentimes brushing away these assumptions as ubiquitous as dust, the knowledge of everything else in the world, including the concept world itself, would be worthless. Inner dusting करने के लिए खुद से लगातार you will have to interrogate continuously, and you have to also notice things that you have been taking for granted. Unless you revisit yourself, unless you expose various parts of yourself, unless you brush away your assumptions, unless you remove something as common as dust, then if you don't do that, everything that you have will be worthless. In turn, dusting the contents of a house and apartments, we come back to the things that populate them. We are short of time, so maybe you can read this portion as homework. Basically, this paragraph is talking about how we take things for granted, and when we are consciously dusting something, we will look at those things for the very nature that they have. For example, a philosopher, when he uses words, he will dust them, because then he will consider क्या use करना चाहिए और क्या नहीं, what is usable and what is not to be used, right? Enunciating is again like explaining, stooping over is bending over, reacquainted is to refamiliarize. It bears noting that dusting rituals can be as thoughtless as any other routine of daily life. रोज के काम जैसा है, डस्टिंग करते रहिए, कपड़ा मारते रहिए, and that is their mixed blessing, और कुछ हद तक ये छोटी सी blessing है. On one hand, the temporary paralysis of deep thought they occasion could be beneficial, because if you're all the time thinking about death, then it could be difficult for you. It will be like a paralysis. So you consider that as well as keep living. Both are important. Thanks to it, we might be able to finally see and touch what readily offers itself rather than to penetrate its essence. So sometimes, because we are not thinking about this all the time, we are able to look at things for what they are. I can consider this pen a pen without worrying about actually the essence of it and the dust of it. We would then avoid the tendency to overthink. So we will avoid overthinking, to dig out its buried causes and disclose its intrinsic constitution. And then we will not do post-mortem of everything and try to disclose what is inside everything. Intrinsic is inside. On the other hand, dusting our houses, we seek, unbeknownst to ourselves, a sense of certainty among things, their exteriors peering from underneath the dust. We try to restore the original colors and shapes to this universe in the miniature by removing whatever occludes them. In a word, we aim to disclose the things themselves as they are in what amounts to a household version of naive realism. Now again, realism will be something discussed in a philosophy class in detail. We don't have that luxury of time right now. But in short, this paragraph again says that it's important to consider those things that we just discussed in the initial paragraphs. But you can't keep obsessing over them, because otherwise you will be overthinking and you will not be able to lead your life like you are doing right now. So you have to make sure that you are also looking at things for what they are. For example, looking at a pen like a pen, but you also have to make sure that the exterior is peering from underneath the dust. So you have to look at the dust, but you also have to look at something for what it actually is. Peering is like jhankna, all right? Epistemologically, it means by the very meaning of the word, the notion of truth has lucidity. Lucidity is clarity, expressed in clear and distinct ideas, has been a hallmark of European enlightenment, at least ever since the early modern period in the history of philosophy. तो ये यूरोपियन एनलाइटमेंट के ज़माने से ये बात चली आ रही है. Dusting takes the metaphor of clarity back to unmitigated literalness. So dusting behaves like a metaphor. Metaphor is like a comparison of clarity. So when you remove dust, you gain clarity. It's also given in Hinduism that when you clear the mirror, you will see your actual self. By this, it means when you clear yourself of the deeds that you do, you will be able to see your real spirit self. At the same time, a dusted object prevents itself not to be a disembodied mind, but to the senses. So when you dust something, then it is not a mind without a body, disembodied mind. But you will also see about your senses, above all to vision, but also to touch. And you become more, I would say, conscious towards senses like touching and watching. Though it's through its recovered luminosity shine, the shades and textures of things show themselves as they are. Dusting is material enlightenment. So, you could achieve enlightenment simply while you are dusting the house. The only practice that you should be concentrating upon, apart from cleaning the house, is also cleaning the mind, cleaning your original self. It discloses the facades of furniture and of everything else it cares. So facades is like, I would say, भ्रम create करना, एक false identity create करना, so as to get to the kernel of reality. Kernel is like the bit of reality, which is not some hidden essence of things, but their outward countenance, their first look. Countenance is like the first behavior or the first look of something. What I like about the allegory of dusting, allegory is again a figure of speech, like a metaphor, is that it elucidates. Lucid means clear, so elucidates means clarify. How critique cannot achieve its objectives once and for all. Just as dust will continue accumulating after every attempt to get rid of it, prejudices and preconceptions will keep accruing after analysis, no matter how radical. Shaped received ideas to the core. So this is not going to be a one-time thing, that I will clean the furniture of my house and then I don't need to clean my house ever. Similarly, when you are cleaning your mind and you are realizing that you are nothing but dust, however radical you are rationalizing and however deep you go, it's not going to be a one-time thing, because you are human and you will keep on accumulating preconceptions and prejudices. They will keep getting collected in your mind. You can't change them. The labor of enlightenment and critical thinking will have to recommence every now and then. बार बार आपको ये मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. ये चिंतन, अवलोकन, introspection you will have to do again and again in order to reorganize our mental dwelling and to unblock the neglected points of access to what is. Trivial as it may sound, dusting, mired means घुसा हुआ, embedded in finitude, is an infinite task. It's a paradoxical statement. So it may look like you are done for the day, dusting everything, but it is actually an infinite task. I would like you to do the main idea, the summary and the tone as homework, and we could discuss this in the class. Also, I would like you to give a read to, this little excerpt written by Bulle Shah several hundreds of years ago, where he says, Vek Farida mitti khulli, mitti utte mitti dhulli, mitti hasse, mitti rove, ant mitti da mitti hove. See, we're all going to end up in dust. ना कर बंदिया मेरी मेरी ना है तेरी ना है मेरी, 4 दिना दा मेला दुड़िया फिर मिट्टी दी बागी ढेरी, ना कर ऐथे हेरा फेरी, मिट्टी नानल को धोखा कर तू भी मिट्टी मैं भी मिट्टी. So with these beautiful words by the great Bulle Shah, I would like to end today's session. I also hope that this gets you into an introspective mood and probably also tells you that philosophical articles are very interesting. Just a little hard work from your end is required to be able to understand them better. This is Karishma signing off. I hope you had a great day. Sending you all my wishes. Thank you and take care. I will see you on Friday.